So she was describing what it was like for her trying to navigate all that. And she said that all the information available online was no more useful than if it were floating about in space.
Hello and welcome to the BuddyBoss Podcast, where we dive deep into the strategies that will help you build, launch and grow your online communities, courses and memberships. I'm your host, Jason Broderick, Marketing Manager and Head of Content here at BuddyBoss. If it's your first time here or you just haven't gotten around to it yet, click the subscribe button below this video and then click the bell icon to make sure you keep up to date with all the latest content here at BuddyBoss. In today's episode, I'll be talking to Anna Sharp from HeyCollege, the college access mobile app powered by BuddyBoss that helps high school students in the US navigate the college application process and prepare for university admission and success. Anna has used BuddyBoss to scale her resources and the services she can offer to reach more high school students and have a greater impact on their college success. In this episode, Anna is going to tell us about how the online education industry is helping to tear down the barriers to higher education in the US, and how the BuddyBoss app has made it possible for her to stop having to turn families away when their kids might benefit from college counselling, but they can't afford it. Let's dive in. Hey Anna, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me. So tell us a little bit about HeyCollege, who's it for, and what does it do for them?
Well, Jason, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here. HeyCollege is a college access mobile app. We help high school students of all incomes prepare for university admission and success.
So before you made the decision to launch into HeyCollege, did the business exist in any form before you launched the app, or how was your business doing before that?
So I was working in admissions. A form of this business kind of existed, but without any online curriculum. I started working with students. I just tried my hand at developing a curriculum for students who are applying to university, helping them with their admissions essays. And that kind of took off. And I had been looking for family-friendly hours. My previous work in curriculum development was just kind of a different schedule. And I was looking for something I could do at home. And it really took off and it became my full-time job. And it's what eventually led me here to the app. I got my start in curriculum development. I was also kind of in the entertainment industry, I guess. I was a curriculum writer for the Oprah Winfrey Show, and so it was a great woman-friendly place to work. But it's just that industry. The hours are not super flexible,
not conducive to anything other than the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was really great how things came together.
What do you think then was the biggest daily struggle that you had at that time before you sort of decided to jump into the app or into HeyCollege as an entity? What was the biggest daily struggle that you had at the time?
Working in admissions counseling, of course, it's always really hard to turn families away, especially students that don't have a whole lot of other options, like first generation or low income students. And without an online curriculum, there's just never enough capacity. We couldn't scale and not just scale as in, reach more students, but just kind of scale the scope of our services to better support students, throughout the process. So an online curriculum is ideal for that.
Could you describe what the actual process would be like of somebody who wanted college counselling or college admission counselling? Tell us a little bit about what that's like if HeyCollege didn't exist.
It's a big industry here, actually, and it's really cost prohibitive for most people. There are counselors that charge $2,000 an hour I
am in the wrong business.
And they start working with
choose
students.
Something else.
It's
wow.
And it's like, and it's not just you get a couple hours with them. For really wealthy families, they can start working in middle school, and so then they have like 6 years, and it's so there's a big equity gap.
I had a quick look at your pricing page earlier, and I noticed several ways that I could engage with HeyCollege. One of which was for no financial burden at all. Was if you need this and you can't afford it, don't let that stop you.
typical cost, I guess, 2000 is an outlier, but typical cost is probably a couple $100s an hour for private counseling for students who are working with someone outside of their school counselor. And it was important to me to offer a free tier that's really accessible, no barriers, where low-income students could sign up. My background, when I was a student, my family was low income, and I had access to excellent college counseling through my school, which was a private school I attended on scholarship. And, the counseling changed the course of my life. I was able to go to college. I got a full ride scholarship to go to Duke University, and it was a wonderful experience. So we have three tiers. It's a sliding scale. There's the free tier, which is recommended for families who may qualify for public assistance programs. There's the actual cost, which is $10 a month for families that can afford, their basic needs. And then there's a tier that's $15 a month for families that have the disposable income and, want to support low-income student membership in the app. And for that price, with an online curriculum, we're just able to build out little video. We call them episodes. We don't call them courses because, in case that's off-putting.
No 15-year-old wants to sit and take an online course, right?
But they're just like little kind of TikTok style videos, and then there's they're also, they can get their questions answered from counselors. There's counselors have programmed a chat, also like an AI chat, so students can get their questions answered. And one of the things that I just love that you mentioned, I think one of the greatest features is helping students build their list of colleges where they're applying, and the algorithm that we use takes into account affordability, and so students are able to just make a much stronger list of colleges so that they can be a lot happier in the spring with their options.
Do you think the pandemic had a significant impact on that? Or, or had you was the pandemic already in kind of full swing by the time you had made that decision?
Oh yeah, for sure. The pandemic definitely had a huge impact in our industry. There were lots of changes to admissions criteria, and students were navigating so much. And so the pandemic was kind of a tipping point for getting this app off the ground in a couple of different ways. Students didn't have a lot of resources, including mental health resources. And the thing about college counseling is, even though admissions in the US is really far from perfect, I really do believe that going through this process with enough support, it has the potential to really help students develop personally and emotionally, and to get in touch with what actually matters to them, and to form a positive vision for the future. And so it was kind of an aha moment for me, seeing so many students struggling emotionally during the pandemic, including my own kids. And all of that was the extra motivation I needed to finally put together this online curriculum. I saw the BuddyBoss App product had just come out, the timing, and the timing couldn't have been better for me. And I partnered with an adolescent psychologist who's wonderful, and we were able to do it.
Amazing. So I want to dive a little deeper into two things that you said, or rather one thing which has two halves. The idea of you're giving people resources to learn more about the process of college admissions in terms of information gathering, but you're also helping people with you described it as the mental health support, the sort of soft half where people are connecting with other people who are in a similar situation to them, or are being, mentored or whatever way you describe it, by somebody who's more experienced than them, or, is there to support them. So how much would you say that, one of those is just as important as the other, or is there more is it more of the information side of things than the mental health and support side of things that's important?
Goodness, that's a great question. They really do complement each other well, which is convenient. But students, I feel like by kind of connecting with what matters to them and making connections between what they're learning in school, which may or may not interest them, but making connections with what does really interest them in life, it has those social emotional benefits, and so it's really nice how they do complement each other.
Mm. I see that as sort of the perfect union of online courses and community,
Oh yeah.
where the the online courses is the information transactional sort of, I have knowledge and I'm going to give it to you.
Hmm.
And for me anyway, the community aspect of that takes the simple act of two-way knowledge transfer and makes it more about the whole, makes it more about the person, their own experience, them putting that knowledge into practice, and also all of the things outside of the self, like their connection to peers, other people who are going through a similar thing to
Hmm.
them, and the benefits that that brings, but also more of a connection like up the chain, I guess, to people who are in more of a supportive role to them or have more knowledge or whatever. That community allows you to sort of put the learning into your life, I guess. I know that's probably
Yeah,
like, do you know what I mean?
I didn't really appreciate that, and I love that you have that insight. I learned that from our psychologist. This part of her background is group therapy with adolescents, and the
Mm-hmm.
way it was explained to me is that there's this huge emotional benefit to just kind of sharing the experience with others and kind of figuring out, oh, they're struggling in this way, or they're not able to figure this out, or they figured it out, and just kind of feeling validated and like you're not alone, and
Mm.
that maybe this other person who you can relate to, they deserve your sympathy. So you kind of have more like compassion for yourself. And the way, I don't
Yeah.
know, the way she described it to me, it just it seems like a really virtuous, beautiful cycle.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many different. Once you start down that sort of Alice in Wonderland kind of rabbit hole of thinking, it's endless. That the possibilities, the community opens
Hmm.
for the course and education world. Obviously, like BuddyBoss is leaning heavily into that. So, I'm biased, I guess. I'm sure other people would have other opinions, but for sure, like one of the things, so we're going through the process of redeveloping our own BuddyBoss community right now. And I'm in charge of outlining the strategy for sort of bringing new people into the fold. And one of the first things that we have to do is we have to because most people come to a community, like a technical community, seeking answers to a problem that they have, an immediate problem they have right now. For
Hmm.
example, I'm struggling with this. How do I fix it? And one of the things that we have to get over quite quickly is when somebody comes with what they think might be a stupid question, or they think it might be a rookie question, it might be stupid. Um, Very quickly letting them know that this is an environment where people share that type of stuff,
Yeah.
and where people ask those types of questions, and where you will get answers to those types of
Hmm.
questions, and not to be afraid.
Hmm.
It's sort of the very first door that a new community member has to sort of walk through to become an indoctrinated part of the community,
Yeah,
so that's
yeah, I
why
love
kind of
that about the
it
Buddy
jumped out
Boss
at me
community.
like what you said. Cool, cool. We jumped right down a community rabbit hole then really quickly. Let me roll back up to talking about HeyCollege. So the pandemic hit. You described it as a bit of a tipping point. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what was it then? What would you say? What would you say sort of inspired you to like really jump off the cliff and decide this is it. HeyCollege is the idea. What was the moment where you decided, HeyCollege, and we're going to go for it?
So the idea had kind of been, I guess, brewing for a while, and the idea of offering a mobile app had been appealing, of course, since we work with young people, and I'd kind of just over time been looking into what existed, which is so limited, and there were some options, but just nothing that was really worth it. If you're looking to offer like a robust social learning community, there
Hmm.
weren't any options, and so. Um, uh, when I was, I guess it was early 2021, I just like pulled up the BuddyBoss website just because I hadn't, checked in a while, and I saw that the app product was being launched, and it was just like the stars aligned, and so that's what inspired it. That it
Mm.
was finally this perfect product that was available.
you were already in the BuddyBoss world, would you say, before the you like you knew what BuddyBoss was, and then seeing us launch the app made you think, right, this is the time.
I was actually, well, I wasn't in the Buddy Boss world, but I thought this is just the perfect solution for our needs, the social learning community aspect of it. And then I was trying to figure out a way to make it an app, like with, the various things that, but it just seemed kind of the products that were available to kind of turn your WordPress site into an app.
Into an app, sure.
It was just seemed like a lot of potential risk and not really worth leaving the status quo and my little safe familiar bubble until the BuddyBoss app launched.
Yeah, cool. So what would you say then was the biggest challenge that you faced when starting to build HeyCollege? What was the very first thing that you thought, this is the thing that's slowing me down or preventing me from moving faster?
What was slowing me down that time was just that there didn't seem to be anything that was really worth the trouble that was
Yeah.
out there, short of like, I mean, I'd looked into everything probably but full custom development, which is, I can't even imagine what the investment would
Out of the
be.
reach of many. Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
for something of this complexity. So yeah, it was just once we saw the app product was available, it was just full steam ahead.
So, okay, so what's been the biggest highlight or benefit to you personally of launching HeyCollege?
Okay, so I heard someone say the other day that one of the best parts of adulthood is getting to be the kind of adult you needed as a child. And I was really lucky as a child to have so many adults supporting me and encouraging me, not just my parents, but also other adults like my college counselor. And so the chance to get to be that adult now for a young person, who downloads the app, that's a benefit to me that's profoundly rewarding.
I love that. I love that. Whoever told you that needs a medal or
Yeah,
something. I
right?
love that. I've never heard that before. That's awesome. Yeah,
hmm
yeah. Becoming an adult allows you to become the adult that the adult that you needed as a when you were growing up. Yeah, that's a really cool way of thinking about that. I never thought of it that way. God, that's it. Now I'm going to change my entire life, become who I needed to be. That's amazing. So, what do you think then? What do you think has been the biggest benefit to your users of choosing BuddyBoss as your platform to launch HeyCollege on?
Okay, so this one is a big one to me. I just love how effortless it is to navigate. How you can customize it for your members' needs. Um, Something really stuck with me that a student said a few years ago. She was actually in the UK, and she was a low-income student, and she was describing what it was like for her trying to navigate admissions because even without the affordability barrier, I guess there's still just if you're in an under-resourced school or whatever, maybe there's some barriers to figuring out exactly what you need to do and write. And so she was describing what it was like for her trying to navigate all that. And she said that all the information available online was no more useful than if it were floating about in space. And this is a really savvy young person. She ended up at Oxford, and she found it frustrating and trying to trawl the web for advice or find a resource in her community or whatever. And so I just love that the design of the app is so customizable, so that you can make it really intuitive for your members and give them exactly what they need in the moment. You just open the app and you can put whatever they need right in there, so that there's no flailing around online looking for things. It's just all right there.
Tell me about something that didn't exist as part of the BuddyBoss Foundation that you decided you needed or that you thought was going to be of value to your users and that you built or that you had help building. I'll sort of a wink and a nod with the sort of the have help building part.
Yes. So um, there's a calendar in there, which I love, which the agency helped me uh, make my dream a reality of having a calendar block. And so as soon as students open the app, uh, you don't need custom work for this, but you can put what you want where. And I wanted a calendar block to be right there, at their fingertips. And so whatever is needed to do in the moment, and this isn't custom work. This is also just standard feature, but you can have features appear by group, however you want to. So my students navigate based on their class year, their graduation year, and so I also had this custom calendar configured by group. And so I have, say, a 17-year-old logs in this morning, and I'd like them to be able, I'd like to give them a gentle reminder to ask their teacher for a recommendation letter, because students tend to get much stronger letters of recommendation if they ask now instead of waiting for the fall. And so as soon as they, open the page, there's a nice little link there with makes it really easy, a little form they can fill out, and it's that's just one example. They're like endless possibilities. So I love that calendar feature.
So when you said calendar initially, I was thinking, oh, okay, cool. She must be doing webinars or must be doing like live streams. No, like the calendar is not just of events that are occurring; it's personalized to the user, right? So
yes.
It's like you have these 10 things that you'll need to do by the time you graduate. Here's a gentle reminder to, like you said, go and ask your teacher for a letter of recommendation. That's amazing. I didn't even realize, in my head I was thinking, oh yeah, calendar of, we don't have a webinar calendar feature yet as a core app block, but yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was
super cool.
I really wanted it, and I just thought it would be this complicated thing, and the agency team was like, no, that's easy, and they just plugged it in. I don't think it took very much time at all, because I had just being in the WordPress ecosystem and everything, I had a calendar plugin, and they were just able to pop it in, and it's awesome.
Amazing. I love that. So would you say would you say, how, I guess my question would be, how instrumental has the BuddyBoss Agency been in the stage that HeyCollege is at now?
They've been fantastic. I'm really particular about how things look and getting them exactly how I want them. And I just have, a vision for how I want things to be, and maybe go a little bit overboard with, just everything, every pixel, just how I want it. And so they've been great, because I can just ask them to, I'd like that, if I'd like a different icon, or, whatever the case may be. So they've been very patient with me, and they've done wonderful work, and now it looks just how I want it.
Yeah, Marcus is amazing. And do you think that the existence of, I guess, the BuddyBoss ecosystem, but in addition, the BuddyBoss Agency, do you think that's helped you to keep the cost low for your students? Do you think the cost of engaging in your app or the membership might have had to have been higher if you hadn't have had the BuddyBoss ecosystem to lean on?
Oh, I can't even imagine. I couldn't even put a number what that kind of doing that amount of customization, and even just without the agency, I before the agency was available, I was looking, for help with different things, and it was not available. Like I didn't. I talked to a lot of different people, and it was just not something that I just felt confident in trusting anyone to do the work, really. And then so it was just a dream come true that I was able to work with the team.
Amazing.
They did great work.
Do you happen to have any? You may answer no, thank you, Jason, to this question. Do you happen to have any? Do you remember getting any quotes for how much it might cost to build your app before you discovered BuddyBoss and the agency? Do you have any? If there was a number in your mind to pluck out of thin air, do you recall anything like that was given to you or anything?
So I do remember using a couple different online calculators where you would put in the feature that you wanted, and it would like give you a running total, and it was like terrifying. Like I think I just gave up after a while. Like it was like, do you want a social wall? Yes, and suddenly it's maybe $100,000 or something. Do you want courses? Okay, another $200,000. And
wow.
And so everything that's just already part of BuddyBoss, it was just like all of those quickly add up.
It seems to me like discovering BuddyBoss and the BuddyBoss app in particular really was the sort of gateway for HeyCollege to become to exist. I
Oh,
guess
absolutely.
that it sounds like it wasn't necessarily that you would have found the money from somewhere. It's that without the BuddyBoss ecosystem, HeyCollege simply wouldn't have been able to come into existence. It sounds like would that
Yeah,
be fair to say?
certainly. In retrospect, I just wouldn't have attempted it.
Amazing. I'm very glad you did. I'm very
Me
glad. And I'm very
too.
glad you found us. I'm very glad we found each other.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna jump into a few lightning round questions now, unless you've got any other words of wisdom or any other pieces of advice you have to give to our listeners and our watchers. Is there anything before we jump into a lightning round? Are there
I
any other
don't have
pieces
any
of
words
words
of
of wisdom you
advice.
want to say?
I can't wait to hear from others and as the podcast series continues and soak up other people's knowledge and experience. Since I'm relatively new to this,
Amazing.
it's I'm a little nervous being the guest, but I'm really excited to be in the
Well,
audience.
you've been a great guest so far, so there's
Well,
nothing to
thank
be
you,
nervous
Jason.
about. No problem. All right, let's jump into the lightning round then, and we'll squeeze a bit more knowledge, a bit more value out of you. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so what's the one book that you think all entrepreneurs should read?
Okay, so you will not find this in the entrepreneurship section of the bookstore, but it's the book I'm reading right now. It's called
Yeah.
Laziness Does Not Exist. And I started reading it to better understand the academic barriers that students face, but it just struck me as really relevant to entrepreneurs. It's about how, as a society, we're chronically busy and we're just push ourselves to work really, really hard all the time and ignore our healthy human limitations because we see them as laziness or as a character flaw, and how that's ultimately self-defeating and counterproductive. And so I can imagine that a lot of us entrepreneurs can relate to feeling chronically busy. And
Yeah, for
another thing I
sure.
love about it, there's a 5-minute version for all of us who are so busy, available online. It's an article that went viral by the same title on Medium. Laziness does not exist.
Ah, cool. I'll have to check that out afterwards.
Yeah, it's cool.
You might see me quit my job next week and go back to my PlayStation existence. Um, cool. All right. What's your favorite business motivational or inspirational quote?
I have it here on a post-it. It goes, human beings are happier, more cooperative and productive, and more likely to make positive changes in their behavior when those in positions of authority do things with them rather than to them or for them. And that's the approach to counseling that we strive for. But I think it, probably applies to a lot of relationships and are out of work, even applies to parenting. And for me, at least, it's a lot easier said than done. So that's why I have it here on a post-it.
What's the number one place that you go online to learn about building your business?
Okay, so for this one, I don't know if I should admit it. It's kind of embarrassing, and it's a little hypocritical of me too, because I cringe when students say that they rely on Reddit to learn about admissions. But
Yeah.
there are some addictive subreddits, like small business, entrepreneur, accounting department. Um, anything crowdsourced, there's going to be a lot to wade through.
Yeah.
Not all of it effective. So it does make you really appreciate learning communities that are vetted. So, Jason, I should ask you
Mm.
to email me some recommendations for BuddyBoss communities that are for business
Yeah.
owners.
For
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Yeah. I was thinking actually that's the one thing, not necessarily that Reddit's missing it, but that you don't, Reddit isn't great for
Hmm.
is you get a lot of upvoted information that doesn't necessarily speak to its credibility.
Hmm.
You know, if you had to start your business all over again and you only had $500, what would you do first?
Um, yeah, so I guess I would could for under $500, I could definitely get LearnDash and make it look really slick with BuddyBoss. So that would be a great investment.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Great. So if I then, the flip side of that, if I gave you $1 million today and I said, Anna, here, take that, go do something good with Hey College, what would be the very next thing that you would do to grow Hey College?
I think that would be to hire people. Yeah, for sure. I would hire people. Um, our adolescent psychologist, she's amazing. I wish I could clone her, but I'd start with business development. That would be really amazing to have. I'd love to have be able to do more outreach with community-based organizations and with schools. And I'm definitely
Mm.
not a biz dev type, so yeah, that would be wonderful.
Do you know, that's so interesting? I would say, I know that we're quite early on in the podcasting process, but so far 100% of the responses have been investing in people. You know, some kind of taking that $1 million and investing in the people. I think that's it's really interesting that thus far. Last one then for you. How do you define success?
So I've always loved Toni Morrison's definition of success. She said it's not a public thing, it's a private thing, and it's when you have fewer and fewer regrets. And when you think about how our big regrets tend to be the things that we didn't do, the missed opportunities. I think it's just so cool that with this HeyCollege now with this app, this app product's allowing me to take action. To go for it, to live with fewer regrets. So it, does allow for that more public success, which is important, but also that private success as well.
I love that. I'm gonna have to look that up afterwards and either tattoo it to my forehead so that every time I'm looking at myself in the camera, I can see. I have to write it backwards, or like just stick it on the wall like a normal person. Amazing. And it was great to have you on. Where can people find out more about you? Find out more about HeyCollege? Where can people go for all of that?
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I just loved getting to do this, and thank you for asking about where people can go. We would love for people to visit us online at HeyCollege.app.
Nice, great domain. None of this HeyCollege, the HeyCollege official or whatever. Yeah, great. I went looking for a domain name the other day and I had to add all sorts of crazy.
Yeah, we got lucky.
Yeah, good. Nice one. You didn't have to buy it off someone else or anything?
No,
you got it straight away?
no.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lucky, whatever it was, $26 or something it would have been. Yeah, mine was up to like the $6,000 for the domain. I thought, no, I've got to come up with a new name. It's not worth that. Great, amazing. Thanks so much, Anna, and thanks so much for coming along and giving me your time and giving your time to all our listeners and all our watchers. Thanks a lot.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so flattered to be here and honored to take part, and I can't wait to tune into the podcast and hear other stories.
Amazing.
That was Anna Sharp from HeyCollege sharing with us how technology is helping to tear down the barriers to higher education in the US. You can find everything discussed in today's episode along with the transcript and links to any resources over at buddyboss.com/podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to let us know, then make sure to hit that like button below, then leave us a quick comment and tell us what was the most valuable thing that you learned from this episode. That's it from me. Until next time.